Can you hear me? Okay, because when we started the live streaming, I lost this one. For some reason, I don't hear you in this one, but if you can hear me well, I think I can keep going with one ear. Okay, so thank you for joining. And today I did the sketch. I am going to paint something like this, but this time it's going to be on the water. And I did a couple sketches before I start the painting because it's not important whatever I'm painting. I always try to get the lighting important, right? So I did the this is for the previous painting I did, and this is for what I'm going to paint today. So I'm trying to understand why I'm going to have my lights and darks because, as you know, in the watercolor, it's too late when you start painting, and you have to know where your lightest lights, where your darkest dark is going to be. So I always try to get like 2 minutes, 1 minute, maybe like maximum 5 minute sketches to establish and everything. And this is exactly the same setup. So what I'm going to try to get is get a light overall looking painting and mostly very heavy darks here. And I'm going to use this as my reference mostly when I have a picture that I'm using as reference. I try to make a sketch like this, and then just sometimes get even now I don't have a reference. Just get rid of the reference and just paint from this. So I, if you have any question, you can ask me. Otherwise, I will show you which colors I will use. So I have a very bad palette, as you see. All the colors are muddy, and I got some cools here and warms here, and then some earth colors. I have Payne's gray, and I have Chinese white and lavender. Sometimes I use most of the paintings, but generally I use yellow ochre and burnt sienna. And actually, I don't have here, but I should have some other crimson for my warms. And actually, sometimes I try to add transparent pale orange. Today I'm going to make a red ball, so I will use this a lot. And also I add some recently some John Brilliant to my paintings because it's opaque and you can even get some really nice lights with this color. And now for the cools, I have cobalt, and I sometimes add some horizon blue on my skies. It's nice and opaque, and then lavender. And I think probably that's it. And actually, yeah, I might use some Meridian, and sometimes I add indigo or Payne's green depending on the painting. So these are all the colors I use constantly on my paintings. I don't change that all. Sometimes I change the Payne's gray to indigo, and maybe sometimes I add different reds, but mostly this is the setup. And I use burnt sienna and cobalt quite a lot. And then, and then yellow ochre. These three are the main colors that I use, and these are just helping me. And I use different kind of brushes. You'll see that when I'm using, I have different riggers and some bigger brushes for bigger brushes. And if you don't have any questions, I can probably start with the sky. Start wetting the paper a little bit. I actually don't use much fresh paint when I'm starting the first wash because I want to keep it very light as possible. And when you have too much paint and less water in the first wash, you end up having really dark first wash, and at the end you have to go much darker for everything you do. That's why the first wash is just about colors, and maybe in the sky and water you can get some gradation or some tone, some depth. But other than it's all about colors, and try to keep it very light because if you lose the light, there is no coming back. But if it's very light, you can always come and just add on top. And I think I will use this brush for the sky. And I always have another backup brush just to clean some edges when I'm doing clouds, just with some clean water and a napkin. always on my hand. And I think I will just let this a little bit. So I normally paint much vertical, and the water and paint they run out a lot. But for this, I'm not going to lift it too much. So normally I paint like maybe like 40, maybe 50 degrees. But this is gonna be enough to water to run down. And I will add some cobalt. A little bit of horizon blue. Sometimes I get the touch of it. And everything I do, every part of the sky, every part of the boat and darks, lights, the water, I use the same thing. So it always looks nice and harmonic. So I don't use different colors for sky and then water and then the boat. So you try to join them and then it makes a nice, like more united painting. I always have this the bottle and a napkin in my hand ready. Because when you're doing skies, it's real easy to destroy the sky. If it dries when you're still working on it, it's just it's a really big waste. So I try not to make it dry until I'm done with it. I think I'm going to do something similar to this. I like it, just very basic, and I will do much lighter horizon because I noticed that I get much dark in the sky, so it just kills all the light that I have around the boat and on the water. Making some green, some horizon blue. You can see my palette, right? So before they dry, I try to soft these edges because I don't want too much hard edges on my sky. I'm gonna lose some clouds here. Mhm. I always use arches, 300 grams and rough or cold press. And this one is the block that arches has cold press, 300 grams, and I think it's 20 by 16 inch. So I make some darks. The same thing, I don't want to use edges there, so I try to so- soften them. I want a simple sky because I might have uh, a lot of things going on the bottom. So you just see my bottom part is not too wet, so it might just come and ruin it. So I either let it go, let it run, and then come and fix later, or before it dry, I try to soften them as possible. That's why skies are hard, and Like when you look away for like 5-10 seconds, they start drying. But again, the first rule when you do watercolor is when things are going sideways, just stop, let it dry. Because the more you're trying to fix, you just end up having a really bad result. It's better to dry and then come back and try to touch it later. So when this part is still dry, I'll get a small brush and add the green leaf there, the trees and some distant stuff. I don't really care what it is, but I just want some like a background thing in my painting. So a little bit warmer. So when it's dry, it just blends in the background. And you do this light later. You can come and if you want add some more shapes or values, and it's good to have some parts left like this. There are some gaps. I use medium. The first, I mean the first mistake you could do when you start painting could be um, having too dark at the first wash. Then everything, as I said, it has to go much darker, and the light that you lost cannot be brought back. And then I think I want to have the water blue but very light. And then this is the part that you can come and start leaving some shapes right on the board. But the thing is, I'm trying to, in the first one, try to combine everything. It doesn't matter what you're doing. You leave the light alone, but the rest is just going to be color. So don't worry about being too neat. It's nice to have like all the colors just mixing everywhere. Actually, I noticed what I forgot. I forgot the hair dryer. So I'm just gonna grab it probably when I'm done with this. Mm-hmm. Right now this is dry. But sky, I did add a little bit of with the spray, but it wasn't too much. But the bottom part I didn't add anything, so it's completely dry. You see, I make some red. I don't know where it comes from, but it doesn't matter. Again, the first wash is really about just adding, just killing the whiteness and adding some base color to everywhere. And actually, you can slowly build the gradient in the water. Actually, this part, the water is only thing that you're adding some values in it in the first wash. Because as I told you, normally the first wash is most part is just adding colors and letting blend each other. And the tones come after in the second and third wash. And I think I will just add a little bit of transparent pyro orange for my boat. And before it dries, I like to mix it with my water. It's very bright, but it's a nice base color, and I can always come and just dull it. It doesn't matter, but the water just takes out everything and runs here and there, and when it dries, it will be looking much pleasant. The problem is like you do this when it's already dry, then it will be too late, and it will just ruin the painting. So that's why when you're doing watercolor, you have to be 100% sure what you're doing before you touch the paper. So as you see, I just added those colors. So I'm just trying to see if I lost a lot of light. So of course these will dry much lighter, but I'm not sure how much dry it will be. And I'm believing this part will be much lighter than it is. But what I noticed is like if my water is not dry yet, I can add some darker and less water, more pigment. See, my first wash, I don't want to add too much color because I have a really big brush and it just grabs all the paint, and I really don't want it to happen at the first wash. So that's why I just keep adding when I'm done with it. I get a clean brush. I try to get some light back. But every time you do this, you really have to wash it, and then get a clean napkin and wipe the water and then the paint, whatever is left in there. Otherwise, it's just going to ruin the painting. And trust me, I ruin so many paintings. So it literally gave me habit. Like every time I do this, I go back to the bucket and just clean it. Before I was so lazy just to do this, and just like wiping one more here and then go back here, and I was just destroying a really nice water. Same as the sky. So doing mistakes is just really helping you quite a lot to not do them again, and gives you much more like confidence and experience. That's why every time I make a bad painting, I learn quite a lot from that. It doesn't discourage me, it makes me more brave actually for the next time. Because it's so wet, it's it's just running back. I have to be doing this like when it's almost not almost dry, it's start drying, and then they won't run back. And so that's not happening because I don't have too much time. And with a smaller synthetic brush, you can get with less water. You can get some nice darks in the water, the shadows of the waves. Like the highlights you just grab just beyond them, just right under them. You can add some nice darks. Okay, I think this is okay. I might just grab the hair dryer and just dry it. I normally don't do this. I wait it to dry. I find it much pleasant, but of course there's not much time. That's the only way you can use. And if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. it's drying, I'm checking my sketch. And I try to understand if I went too dark. Hmm. This one you talk about? Or this one? The big sketch? Yeah, just a regular. And I try not to go too crazy in the details. Just try to get the outlines of the shapes right, because when I start painting, I don't want to look for where the ship is going to be, where the boat is, where the small boat is, or where the tree is going to be. So I just mark them, but not too crazy detailing. Um, yeah, that's it. You see, just put some lines just to guide me. Even I do this because when you add some more wash, you might lose some of them. So I try to add those ropes, and that's it. It's very actual basic. You don't even need to sketch, but it really helps when you start putting color. So what I liked is I did the sky light as I thought, and I might just add a little bit of layer to the distant trees, and then the separate this one. Yeah, I added some viridian and burnt sienna with the same color that I have on the sky. Yeah, on the same color with the sky, which was cobalt blue and a little bit of maybe horizon blue I added inside, but and just a little bit of other, but a little bit of. So mostly I added viridian and the burnt sienna. That's why it has this nice warmish browns and greens. Yeah, I think so. The thing is, I believe when we started, this thing just uh, not working. So let me try one more time. Is it better or no? Is it better? Okay. Can you speak again? Can you say? Okay. Okay. I think I hear better too now. So something happened when we started the meeting. Something just in my Bluetooth disconnected, I believe. Okay. Is it better now? Oh, it's good. It's give me some time to dry this thing. So what I will do, I will just dry this part and just stop painting back, and I can let this dry by itself. Okay. So it's also good to leave this kind of lights, highlights, and you can always turn them into like a top of the buildings or boats or any kind of highlights, and you can add some shapes and forms underneath. So it's always a good idea to not to cover an entire page when you're painting. And I think I'm going to get a brush just to wet this top part of this trees. I don't want much, at least I don't want any hard edges on the top. So I'm just trying to chill it. And it's always a good idea to use a bigger brush. You have to cover everything in with the least amount of brush strokes. If you have a smaller brush, you keep going over and over, and then you literally destroy and ruin the painting. So for the distant part, like add some. lavender. You see, I'm just having whatever right there. I'm just adding some colors in it. Some burnt sienna. I'm trying to get some warmish color. And some yellow ochre too. So I like the light part of the trees there, so I don't want to lose them. And I just want to add a little bit of mid-tones and then just darker ones. And for darker one, I will add some more cobalt blue. I don't like to have a hard edge there, so I just let everything run down to the water. And you can splash some water to some texture. Sometimes I do that. I get some paints in my hand, just get water and just splash all like bad paint spots, and that's what I destroy so many painting like that. But sometimes it gives nice effects. It's always just a great tip. It's always gives you much better results when you're trying not too hard to make things perfect in watercolor. The more you lose, the more relax, which I call more confident. It makes you much better results. And I don't like that it's very straight, right? So just very boring. So try to break the shape a little bit. Maybe I can add some more darkness. But again, I should not go too dark in that part. That's the mistake that I might regret at the end. So probably I won't do it. But I might just actually add some just to show you structures. Yeah. Okay, so I think I have my background. Okay, done. Not too crazy. Just fading to the sky, and it looks much contrast to up there. I wish I could show it. So I probably get a napkin and just randomly clean it. So just breaks that boringness. And then probably this part will be dried now, so I can just come and I'll probably the bolt and this part. And I will add a medium wash, like a second wash, and get all the shapes. And I don't think I will just worry about my shadow. So after I get all my mid-tones here, I will start adding my darkest dark to this part of the board. So I will try to connect everything from starting from this raw to reflection to the bottom of the board, this part, shadow, and try to just block out the entire area like this, right? So, and this will just come up to all those masks, and I will just have a dark mass here, and I hope it will work. If it doesn't work, for the next painting, I know what I did wrong, and I can just start and redo those. have a ball picture here. I'm looking and I'm trying to understand what I can do to make it more interesting here. So I know the light is hitting here, so I will try to keep that part a little bit light. Um, I'll try to get a bigger brush like this. And then now I can add some fresh antique paint. Because what I'm really scared is when I have like a lot of pigment here fresh, I grab a lot of pigments and just make a really dark first wash. So now I need some darks, and to make darks, I really need a lot of pigment. So that's a problem with watercolors. To make some rich darks, you have to sacrifice a lot of pigment. Just going over some place a couple times is just gonna ruin the painting. And I noticed that I add some Payne's gray and I have some dioxazine purple here, and I can add those to my darks and I make it very very rich dark, like very opaque. Okay. Just have to make sure this spot is perfectly dry. Okay, so I'm still not sure how to make this boat stand out. I think I will just leave it like this and darken this part and the bottom and reflection and hope that it will just pop out just in front of the store because right now it's getting lost. I have to find a way to make that pop out a little bit more than how it's looking right now. So this is the part of the dog here. And I am going to connect the dog to to my ball, so I really won't worry about this part at all. And I'm just trying to get some suggestion of things happening here, and also in the same part. So I can start adding some things happening on the boat. It's nice to use some lavender on this kind of parts that is going to be opaque and cool. Some as you see, I don't really care what is in there, so I just adding some shapes and it's just suggesting whatever's in there. It's like a cabin, some crates, and then when you have some nice dark tip color, I'll grab a knife like this or like even a card like this and start scratching. But you never scratch on a light wash. You always have to do that on like thick paint. So this is still not thick paint. And I think I can start going to my boat and get some nice warm with my burnt sienna and a little bit of alizarin crimson. Try to keep those highlights. I never use masking tape, like so masking fluids. I try to keep the highlights myself. It looks much more pleasing. And I try to get some dark red here to show the form a little bit more, the bow. And I have a clean brush that I will try to make A nice light hot spot here. But this spot is in a joint together, so I really don't care about it. I'm getting some water because it's drying and you don't want it to dry. Keep reminding yourself, add some water, splash some water. Yeah, good idea, splash some water. Some texture. I'm just trying to get a nice hot spot this part. Lifting colors like this always gives great effect because you have a nice first wash underneath. That's why first wash is so important to have good colors underneath. You come and just lift them up later and you start to see the shining on whatever's below. It's nice to have some warms under cools or cools under warms. So again, I'm not sure how it's gonna look when it's drying. So it's good to just stop when you think it's okay and you see I destroyed here, but not a big deal. It's gonna be just full in dark. So I think this board should be red light color. Maybe I can get a form because the form is so important. Then you have to make this board looking realistic, more believable. And I add some lavender and whatever I have here as you see. I just use this color for sky maybe and sorry for the green and just keep using them. Try not to get rid of your whites. Unfortunately, I left a nice white here, which I'm not gonna need it. Hmm. So again, oh, if I like balls. I grew up with like small fishing villages that has a lot of balls, and maybe that's why I always love balls. Now I'm really close to Stevenson here. That's a perfect spot. I go there every day, just watch the balls, and I really enjoy balls as a subject. Yeah, I hope to live in a boat one day. That's my dream too. That would be nice. Okay. So the thing is, it's not gonna happen too much in the. Let me see. We have like 45 minutes, right? So I'm not going to have too much going on the background. So it's all about this part. So I can might as well start adding my darks. Some balls in the background. This part is silhouette. I'm still trying to figure out a way to make this pop out. So I'm really hoping because did you see this water and the board right now the same tone? Actually, I know what I do. Yeah. So because These are almost the same tone. I just have to come and make this darker and brought it here, but just kill that later so it can look dark under this water and then light it where it's touching to this water. So yeah, you see it's starting to come out much more. And then of course the watercolor will look good when you start adding your darker strokes. Before that it just doesn't mean anything. But as soon as you start adding the darks, it will just make sense. Everything will start making sense. Yeah, I think this is gonna work. So I think I can just dry this and start adding the darks. Yeah, I think I can dry this. So when I look at the camera, it looks much more contrasty than how it is in here. But I hope you can read it. I will start adding dark. Go the bold and go all the way here. That's why I didn't pay too much attention when I'm painting this wall. I just tried to add some colors that blend each other. Then my dark is going to hopefully going to do the trick and just combine them all. And I'm gonna have this ready to scratch some shapes. So I will add much more pigment probably if I have enough cobalt. But I'm going to make really nice dark. I don't want to have less pigment and start going over to make dark, so it's just going to destroy my painting. So I have to do it with really least amount of strokes and with less water and with a lot of pigment. So that's why I'm gonna have some Payne's gray, which I might end up needing. I might add some lavender. And I think that should be enough. Just to be sure that and you can feel it if it's cold here, then it's not good. I will start adding darks starting right here and just go all the way here. But again, you see I have some nice highlights here. I don't want to lose them. And I always have a clean brush. So I can make some nice switch darks. I don't even need Payne's gray. I just like the color much better when you just combine three primaries. Some reds, yellows. I do them just mixing everything I have. And then you can add more cobalt or ultramarine, whatever you have, to make it more cooler, or just the warmth, you want to make it warmer. I'm just gonna look at some references here to see what kind of shapes I can get in here. It's not a good idea to paint it from the imagination. It's always good to have some kind of reference. So I'm trying to make the same thing here, dark, but just for it's nice to have this running down if you can. That's why this should be perfectly dry, otherwise you're not gonna have the effect you want. Just gonna ruin the painting. And put there. And I believe I can get a nice reddish dark here. I could change the hue when you're doing anything because it's just makes it much boring if you have everything in the same hue. So you can just keep coming adding cobalt to make it cooler or burnt sienna, and then you can just, let's see, combine this. I'm actually going to make this part completely lost. Actually, not this part. Soften this. So now let me just finish this part before it dries. You can some water. You know when you can do some scratching like this. I'm just going to show you. You can see that. So you want to do this part first before it dries, and then come to the second bowl on this side of the bowl. I'll just get some different size of brushes to make those reflections a little bit different variation. just leave those lights there. It just helps you to get a much nicer look. Of course, some water. That's a problem when you're doing them, where you sometimes forget to add some water and then just dries. But again, as I told you, it's better to leave them and then you can come back later. It's always much safer than just trying to fix them and destroying it. I have some mass here. I'm just trying to look at it from the camera. It looks a little bit different than what I see here, but at least I can read the shapes slowly. And I think I still have half an hour, so I can probably stop wasting time. Okay, so I am not going to do anything here now. I have to wait it to dry, but let's start adding some shapes here. Some articles here. And if you guys have any questions, you can ask. Uh, I couldn't hear which part you're talking about. Which middle? This part? Oh, this part. This part. Yeah, I think I just had some and lavender and some burnt sienna, and then I think it's in some cobalt. But mostly it was yeah burnt sienna, cobalt. I had a little bit of yellow ochre too, not too much. A touch of yellow ochre. Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little bit really too. Yes. You're welcome. So I think I might just come and darken that part later. I like how dark this part is. Okay, so let me dry this first. I'm not really sure. This part is looking okay, but not as I want. So I don't want to put too much dark and destroy it. I'm just trying to see how I should have done that. So I think I will darken this part of the bowl and a little bit bleed it here and then come back to here and then just this part, not all of it, just darken it. That might help a little bit. And then I think it's too big brush. I'll add the mask. And right now it's drying, so I don't need to do too much there. Um, I'm just trying to look at some sailboat references. Just trying to get some forms here. add some Chinese white to the mess. Okay, so I believe this will work for now. So I think I might add some. Again, I'm looking at some references just to break this shape a little bit. I can add some sails. Down some verticals. Okay, that will be okay for now. I'm going to darken this part and see how I can fix this. It's not looking too bad actually when I look up there, but I like this part a lot, so I will try to get the same, get more contrast in it. And I think I have 12 minutes left, so and it's going to, you see these dry pretty similar. So what I was aiming, actually it's similar here too, but what I was aiming is get a little bit more dark here, come down to, as you see it's pitch black, so I will try to do the same. Again, if I fail, I won't do it again. I will try it. I'm going to add a flag. this part I will get a bigger brush. I want to do everything as fast as I can. Just make sure everything is wet. Normally when I paint, I cannot do it now. I take this, take a photo, flip, or I go and look at in a mirror and try to see if I have any perspective mistakes. Because I'm not sure if this is going like this is a good idea. But I'm going to just make it too dark here. And then I'm gonna have a brush to blend it. But the thing is I should be all of this is 100% dry. I don't want to ruin this. Okay, so let's get a really nice rich dark. There's a cobalt, Amazon, red and bronze sienna. And I'm going to add a little bit of radium and a little more cobalt. It's fresh from the tube. A couple of rolls of paint there. So a little bit of spray will help. And I should, I'm again checking those shapes, right? You see the shapes is really important. It doesn't matter what you're doing, you have to get the shape right. Yes, yeah. I'm just going to flip this. Just make sure I have a clean brush. The ball should be casting the shadow like this. Okay. And before it's drying, get the shadow off the slope. And now I'm getting much more water. And again, connect the star to your smaller bowl. I think it's okay. Darks here, and finally, I'm going to get my brush, rigger, or this is a Kafka calligraphy brush. We feed up. Really a paint, and I always get to try on this because it might have a lot of water in it, and you don't want to get a thick line. You want to get them as nah, not like this, for example. Just soften it. Actually, this is really good to get those dry brushes. Yeah, we're almost done. If you guys have any questions, you can ask, and then I'm going to add some highlights. This one, it's Alvaro's. I think you call needle. You call the needle. It's a nice bigger brush. Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I get the biggest I paint is because I'm so lazy to get those sheets. I get the big, which is 60 by I think 40, 24 inches by 20 inches. I think that is the biggest block that I can find, and I use that one. So I lost some highlights. I'm gonna use gouache, and also, guys, I don't know if I had time. No, we have still 10 minutes. Huh? I do have this nice knife I got from Opus, and I just scratch and make some ropes or some highlights with it. I feel it's much better than adding a gouache. I don't need too much highlights in this painting. You see, it's so dirty here. I'm rushing, and when you rush, you just touch here, and then you just paint this area. So that's a huge mistake I keep doing. I'm going to avoid it this time. I'm not sure if I should use white because I could use John Brilliant for my highlights too. I don't have too much white in here. It's mostly warm. But yeah, anyways. So you see when you start adding your highlights and the darker start, the painting start to look much. much more, start to make sense much more. Still not dry because to use this, you have to scratch. It has to be thick paint, but not dry. But for this, for the knife, because knife is just literally destroying the paint above it. It has to be perfectly dry. You see, here I cannot do it because it's still wet in here. If you guys have questions, I'm just waiting to dry to do one more scratch with this for this roll. Maybe I can do this. It's gonna do it, yeah. Not too bad. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. Yes. Yeah, sometimes when people ask. I think they can email me or send a message from social media or email or on my website should be a contact form. You can reach out. I think I'm good now, so I can call it done. Oh, thank you so much. It looks a little bit different there, but I can take a picture at the end and send it to you guys if you want. And there's a lot of texture, which is not too much visible here. So let's just zoom in. It shows a little better. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for watching. And actually, I like to show the brushes. These are the needles I use for rigging and all this kind of line work. And this is making a lot of dry brushes, which I really don't like getting too much straight lines. The broken lines is much better, so I use this quite a lot. And then sometimes I use it because it's too big and this holds a lot of water. And then I use a lot of these synthetic Escola brushes, parallel ones. I have so many different sizes of these, like mop ones and dripping some water. So yeah, these kind of brushes I use a lot, and then I got some of these black velvets, and I like these kind of Chinese calligraphy brushes for water and sky. It's really helpful. And I got these bigger ones. It's Raphael and Da Vinci's. The Opus has these ones, Casaneo and Da Vinci. petrifiers. These are really good for covering big areas. It holds a lot of water. And I really don't care about brushes too much when I'm painting. You see, and I just grab whatever I have there, except just, of course, there's some riggers. And mostly what I really think important is the paper you have. If you have a bad paper, I don't think you can ever get a good painting. And that's why if you want to, like, if you don't have too much budget, I would say sacrifice, put the first on the paper, and then comes brushes and paints. It really doesn't matter to me, but paper is really important. So thank you so much for joining. I'm so happy to share what I learned from good masters, from different resources. I really enjoy watching everybody paint, and I try to learn everything from everyone. Somebody's really good at water, somebody's really good at sky, somebody's good at really composition, and I try to absorb everything. And when I find chance, I like to share it. And thank you so much for joining us. So mop brush holds a lot of water, and it's good to cover big areas, but I want to leave some highlights here, and I like the looseness, right? You see, show you, and mop brush is good. It has a lot of water in it, but this one, you see, it doesn't have that much water. It doesn't hold too much water, so it leaves highlights. First of all, those sparkles are called. I can leave them, and also when I'm doing organic shapes like clouds, water, trees, all this kind of stuff, I like to have loose. I did not use it in this demo, but I have a lot of brushes like this, right? Very long handle and very long. You see the tip of the brush, so I can just get more organic shapes, just moving like this. Get some branches. Where this is, you don't have that much flexibility. You can just cover big areas, perfect. But you cannot get these organic shapes with these and these ones. Yeah, yeah. This is I don't know if you know. It's a Atanur Doğan. It's a really good famous artist from Toronto. Yeah, he has his own brushes, and when he was visiting here, I grabbed it from him because I was trying a lot of Chinese calligraphy brushes, and this one is I'm really impressed. So I think he's head of the IWS International Watercolor Society, and if you look at his website, I'm assuming you can find things, and I'm planning to get. He gets huge ones too, like with the weird shapes. So I'm planning to get a couple from him too. Yeah, I'm very happy with this one. Watercolor, you have to paint fast. That's why people are surprised. I say I spent like an hour in a painting, and they don't believe it. But it's maximum 2 3 hours if you have a lot of layers. But it has to be fast. That's why you don't have too much time to think when you start painting. That's why I had this small sketches because it's too late when you start painting. You have to go fast and work finish as soon as possible. I had I had one actually. I had a big scene and I just cropped it to myself to get this boat and the small boat next to it. And I don't know if I could send out to anyone who needs it. Maybe I can post this in my social media with the reference and the painting. Then you can have a better resource to look at that. Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much.